You're listening to Colorado Today. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter. Now back to the show.
Thank you for listening to Colorado Today. Joining me is Danae Sim. She is the founder of Vigilant Valkyrie. You're going to have to kind of explain that. That's such a bold-sounding name, Danae.
Yes. So Vigilant Valkyrie is a female-oriented veteran organization. Our mission is connecting and supporting female warriors of all branches through veteran sisterhood. We strive to just connect women veterans and provide support and understanding and resources.
All right. When did you start this?
I established this in December of 2018 with the help of another organization called Disgruntled Veterans, and they helped me kick it off, and we have just been growing ever since.
All right. So talk a little bit more about this because, quite honestly, you don't really think of female vets very much, do you? You hear a lot about male veterans.
Right, exactly. And, that's one of the reasons why I decided to establish this organization. So I've been in the Army Reserves for almost 7 years. I just got back from my second deployment over to the Middle East. And I love being in the service. I love being a female in the service, but there are so many challenges still today in 2020 to serving and or being a veteran when it comes to being a female. You're always assumed to be the spouse. You always have to push yourself and prove yourself a little more than the males because there's those snide comments of how you earned your rank or your place, etc. And there's just very little resources specifically towards female warriors. And so Vigilant Valkyrie, we are trying to, kind of change that demographic and provide those resources to female vets and provide that recognition. We love being a part, of the brotherhood, and we recognize and serve alongside our brothers. But just naturally, females and men, they face things differently, respond to things differently. And so I have learned that it is essential to have a place that female warriors can come and feel that they're related to and understood, because oftentimes we're misunderstood, especially by our brothers that serve with us.
All right. Explain to me a little bit more, other than the fact that, let's face it, we overthink things. We process things differently. Yeah, we're not wired like guys, right? So
right.
What kind of problems are the biggest issues for females?
I think that for those that are still in, unfortunately, one of the biggest things is sexual harassment and sexual assault. That is at least harassment is almost an everyday occurrence, which is unfortunate. And then it could be jokes, which, as long as you know the female, that's fine to a certain level. But there are too many times, especially that, I have faced in my career, and I'm not a very sensitive person. I like to joke alongside the men, but that sexual harassment occurs or sexual comments go too far. And that is a huge issue that we still face. Another one is just having to work 2-3 times as hard as your male counterparts to prove that you're just as good as them, which, of course, physically men and women are made differently. But when it comes down to characteristics and personalities and things of that nature, we're no less than our brothers. And so that is still, even in my career, I've had, no, you're a female, so we're going to have the male do it. And that's not okay.
Right, because we're seen as the weaker sex.
Right. And unfortunately, like you're saying, in 2020, that's still often the case, and it shouldn't be. And I recognize there will always be differences between men and women, but if the female can handle her weight and meet the standards and everything alongside the males, then that's what should be recognized. In my perspective, I've always said it's soldier first, female second. And I think that's how it should be. And then, one of the two biggest struggles for veterans that are females, so those that are outside the military, is they're always assumed to be the spouse. And even when I'm still in, we're always assumed to be the spouse. And that just gets tiring, Like, we're in 2020. When are you going to stop assuming that the male is the one that is serving the country? Like, I'm single, and so I get kind of tired of making the correction of, no, I'm the soldier. It's just kind of disheartening to not that we're looking for that recognition, but if you're going to bring it up, recognize that women serve too. And the other big thing for female veterans that are out is assistance with childcare. Like, that is an unmet need, and that is something that Vigilant Valkyrie, we are currently working on establishing a program to provide temporary child care assistance for female veterans that are trying to go to VA appointments, counseling, spa days, things that they need to do to take care of them and their mental and emotional health. Through our social platforms, we have found that is one of the biggest unmet needs is assistance with childcare for those female warriors that are mothers. And so Vigilant Valkyrie, we are looking and striving to meet that need within the community.
Yeah, and that's one of the most heartbreaking things. Now, I want to make sure that I don't diss dads here because I really am all about dads. I think they're the greatest. At the same time, there are a lot of women who serve in the armed forces, and it just feels like one of the most heartbreaking things on the planet to watch a mom go away to serve.
Yeah. And, that's actually something I recently had a conversation with my mom about because I can't wait for the day that I become a mother. And she's like, well, you deploy all the time and the career fields that you want to be in, you don't know if you're going to come home at the end of the day. And I'm like, but the same goes for the father in the picture, whatever relationship we're discussing. Like, why is it, like, I understand that the mother bore the child and had the child. And that naturally, often when the mother's in the picture, there's that more nurturing side with the mother.
Right.
But, in a two-parent working household and stuff, it's not fair just to think, or to say that the woman shouldn't have a potentially dangerous job because she's got kids at home. If men can do it, and I'm not trying to go on this like feminism tangent because that's not me nor what we're about whatsoever. But I think that women can work hard too and work in challenging, potentially dangerous positions and still be a fantastic mother. And it is heartbreaking, I think, when any parent leaves for deployment. And it's just like part of the calling, I guess you could say. Like I love being a soldier, and to me, it's just part of my life. So I've got to figure out a way to make both work when I do become, a mother.
Right. And I understand. I mean, I grew up in a military family, so I was used to watching my dad deploy, but it might have felt really weird to watch my mom deploy.
Yeah.
But it's not something you saw way back in the day when the dinosaurs were on the planet, when I was a kid. So, a big difference.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming more and more common now. My last deployment I was on, there's many females that were mothers and had kids back home, and it's challenging, but in a great way. I think it shows that child that even, your mom can work hard and work tough and serve her country, and you can make that choice too. And, it may be, depending on the female, may be harder on her emotionally to leave the little ones back home, but it's, honestly, when we're on deployment, your head's in the game. You're focused on the mission. And when you have a moment to call back home and talk to your family, fantastic. But then you got to come back and take care of your soldiers, take care of the mission. And that's what your focus is. And a lot of the female moms on my last deployment, they were able to do that when they were, on duty, et cetera. Their focus was there. And then when they had their recovery time, they were able to connect with their kids.
I know it just seems so hard to think, though. Let's swap this from something you said earlier. It seems so hard to think soldier first, mom second as a female and as a mom, because, my head is always on the mom game. But then again, I understand.
So I wouldn't say mom second. So soldier first, female second. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that will look at a soldier and be like, oh, you're a female, so you're automatically going to be emotional. Or, oh, you're a female, so you can't carry as much weight as the male soldier next to you. And they'll use the female aspect of being a soldier in more of a negative perspective, instead of just looking at that soldier as they should of being a soldier. The other thing is, unfortunately, there are females as well who will use that as an excuse of, oh, I'm a female, so I can't do this as well, or you shouldn't treat me like that because I'm a female. No, you join the military, you're a soldier, a sailor, an airman, a Marine, and that's what it should be first. You shouldn't, I think being a female shouldn't be used as an excuse, nor should it be used against us. It should, in my perspective, be you're a soldier. You do the job. And if you're struggling, hey, ask your brothers and sisters to your left and your right for help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help, but it should not be looked at in a negative manner that we're females. And unfortunately, oftentimes that is the case.
Oh, yeah. I think most of the time nobody really thinks about the women serving.
Yeah.
Until you see the kids, the family, the stuff, and of course, you're going to see the absolutely awesome videos of dads coming home and surprising their kids, say at school or whatever. But that happens with moms all the time too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so much. And I've seen a few videos here and there, and always makes me cry because I'm a female, and I'm like, oh, mom. But it does, and that's one of my big hopes for Vigilant Valkyrie is to bring, I guess, in a way, recognition, to bring people's awareness of how many women veterans there, and service members there are. Currently, there's over 2 million women veterans. That makes up about 9% of all military branches, and that's continuing to grow. It's vastly growing, and in here in Colorado alone, strictly the veterans that have registered through the VA that are women, there's 44,661 here in Colorado.
Yeah, I saw that number. That is amazing because you don't think about 44,000, well, over 44,000 female veterans in the state of Colorado.
Right, you don't. And it's a huge number, and it's continuing to grow, and it's just not thought of. And that's what part of what Vigilant Valkyrie is trying to change and address is thinking that immediately when you say veteran or service member that it's a male. No, women serve too, and they have for decades. The great thing about social media nowadays is our platform. We have connected with women back that were in the Women Army Corps like decades and decades ago, and those
like
that
the
were
Wasps
in
and
Vietnam.
the others.
And it's even I'm learning a lot of how many women served in Vietnam, and you don't think of that. And it happened. And I think that it just needs to be recognized just as equally that women serve alongside of our brothers.
Well, and I think a lot of attention has been given to the women's air service pilots, or like I just said, the WASPs. I think that in the last few years, we have seen some stories and some attention given to the role that women play, and have played in all of our major wars.
Yeah, it's starting to grow from what I've seen, and there's been more and more nonprofits and businesses and things like that are starting to, I guess, kind of bring back up, the service of the women in the nursing corps in World War II, the walk, and all those kinds of things, and it's fantastic to see. My thing is reaching us younger generations because, oh my goodness, some of these soldiers nowadays, men and women alike, are you're like, what is going on with you? And they're not educated, or they're not even educated on whose footsteps they're following in. And I am big on that. I was raised very patriotic and was raised to really respect veterans. And I am big on recognizing that I am following in the footsteps of the generations before me and recognizing that and honoring that. So, I try to, like you were saying, Vigilant Valkyrie is part of recognizing the walk and the nursing corps and all those male and female generations that came before us. I think that's really important.
Right. And it's huge. And you mentioned you have social media out there. I know you have a Facebook page.
Yes.
And I believe you even have I think you have a YouTube channel, don't you?
Yes. So we just started a YouTube channel. Currently in the process of getting some videos up and building that platform. Our biggest platform is Facebook. We do have Instagram. We newly have YouTube. And then we do have our online apparel store as well. That's just some fun stuff, morale patches, T-shirts, things like that, that just kind of help us with bringing attention to what we're doing. And the veteran community kind of likes our cool apparel. So that's been fantastic. But yeah, YouTube, we're growing and getting some videos out there for people to just tune in. Like I said, Facebook is our biggest platform right now. That's where we post our events and our meetups and everything of that nature.
All right, so let's talk. I noticed a post on your Facebook page that I found kind of interesting. Once again, not thought about, even by me. And like I said, I'm a military brat. And apparently there is a section located right outside of Arlington that is actually a Women in the Military Service Memorial, right?
Yes.
I've never even heard of that.
This is fantastic. I recently spoke at the Fountain VFW We do a lot of work with the local nonprofit veteran organizations here, and they are one of them. So I spoke there, and this video was shared on social media, and the next thing I know, we are getting a message to our page from the Women's Military Veterans Memorial outside of Arlington, and they were sharing that they saw my video. They thought that I was a natural speaker and that it is fantastic what we were doing, and they wanted to learn more. And so I connected with the chief of staff there and a few of the board members and just shared, kind of like I'm doing now, what our vision is, what our goals are, and our mission. They shared theirs with us, and that's what they are. They have a museum, a beautiful museum there, all dedicated towards women veterans. They're actually on Saturday about to unveil a statue monument that is dedicated towards women canine handlers in the military service. I do pictures. It's absolutely beautiful. They have an auditorium there, a lot of different things. They are a nonprofit, and in connecting with them, we're hoping to maintain an active relationship in which we can both support each other's organizations. I hope to eventually coordinate and be invited to speak there at the Women's Memorial in Washington. And that's something that we're looking at hopefully doing in the future. And they are a wonderful nonprofit who's looking to bring that recognition to women veterans. And it's just absolutely fantastic what they're doing.
Let's talk about the VA hospital real quick. The VA hospital, they built the whole new facility in Aurora. And the VA has been pretty sketchy, as far as health care and some of the services they've been offered. Is this something that is an issue for us? Because obviously we have different kind of health needs. I mean, all right, we're all basically humans. I'm not saying that, we're that much different. Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah.
We are different from men. Is health care and services an issue for our female vets here in Colorado?
I would say from what I have heard amongst our social platforms that there are most certainly challenges to it. The number one simple one is still we walk in and we're asked for our spouse's social, because that's how they ID the beneficiary. So like, what's your spouse's social? And we're like, no, I'm the service member. You can have my information. So that's one of the biggest things that is still dealt with at the VA. The other thing is, like you said, we do have different healthcare needs. Mammograms and things of that, or if we've had a child or having a child, and the VA addresses those things, and even counseling. And I don't know specifically offhand, I don't recall some specific incidences or stories, but I've just heard throughout our women veteran community that there are challenges getting the care that they need as a female at the VA. And actually one thing that does come to mind is military sexual trauma, MST. And I have specifically heard stories from our female warrior community that they're not taken seriously at some VAs, not all, at some VAs about military sexual trauma. They're either not taken seriously or they're told, hey, we'll give you some meds to help with what is coming from that in reference to like anxiety and depression and things that are caused by that military sexual trauma. Or it's just blown off. This female is looking to, and unfortunately it happens to males as well, but this female is finally opening up and sharing, hey, this happened to me, and it's being brushed off and not taken as seriously as it needs to be. And I have heard that way too many times, and reference to some VA locations.
Yeah, okay, that's it's difficult. And it is, and unfortunately, it's incredibly tragic. I would imagine as time continues and more women do join up, with the different branches, that we will start to see some significant changes, won't we?
I hope so. And, that's one of the things that within the veteran community, it's kind of like you grow enough and you speak out enough in a positive manner, and you may bring some attention of those that I feel could really make those changes, which I think is at honestly like the political level, because your average day person only has so much say in the workings of the VA, if that makes sense. But if we draw enough attention to what is not properly being handled and addressed, hopefully then we can have it addressed by those that can make those changes.
Right, but I am sure that as more females, basically go higher in rank, that those are
Yeah.
changes. Won't those naturally happen anyway as more females start making it to the top?
Um, I'm not really sure because there are many females that I've seen, generals and lieutenant colonels and things like that, and it's still such a huge issue. And maybe in the next few years, as the females, within the service continue to grow, maybe then, like you said, it will make a change. But I don't know because it's, like I said, there's over 2 million that have served and are serving of high ranks, and it's still such a challenge. And so I honestly think that not just the numbers, additional numbers would help. I think that it's those higher up outside of the military that have the decision making on the VAs that need to do something about it.
Right. So unfortunately, time will tell on this one. I take it, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you just sit back and wait. That means be maybe a little bit more proactive.
Yes, most definitely. And that's what just being on social media and our meetups and our live videos and connecting with all these other nonprofits and stuff like that, because we do what's called here in Colorado Springs a war council. That's about 12 different local veteran businesses and organizations that we get together once a month, and we discuss our goals and our events and meetups and the things that we're doing the next 30 to 60 days to better the veteran community. We come together because our sole purpose is to better the veteran community. And so when you have 12 very dedicated and motivated organizations that are very large, I think that we are going to continue to make some noise and bring attention to the needs that need to be met and the needs that need to be changed and addressed within this veteran community. And that is something that we're continuing to do and grow from, and it already has, in some ways gotten on the news and things like that. And that's the positive attention that we need to get these issues addressed at a higher level.
All right. What can people do to help you guys?
So some of the biggest things, of course, is sharing about us, getting connected on our social platforms. If you're local to Colorado Springs or Colorado, coming out to some of the events and meetups that we have and have upcoming. That is one of the biggest ways, is just getting the word out there so that our reach can go further. The other way is, assisting with, in a way, advertising. So sharing our posts, sharing when we have events and things like that upcoming, the same thing, so that our reach can get further. The other small way is checking out our online apparel store. Now, we are not about profit, but the funds from that go to a pot that's just sitting there so that we can apply for a nonprofit status, which costs $500 to $800. And the additional funds are going to our resource pot to fund assisting with childcare. So checking out our apparel and things like that, that helps us to have some funds to cover, our base and begin our resource pot. So those are just a few kind of simple ways. And taking part in our events, like I said, that is such a huge thing, is coming out, especially if you're a female veteran or a female service member. Come get connected with us. We would love to discuss, and talk to the female warriors and be that support and be that motivation. And so our meetups and events that we do is a great way to support us and get involved.
And I know that you're based in Colorado Springs, but do you offer any of these services in the Denver metro area?
So we are willing to, like I said, we work alongside a lot of these other groups. They've done a few events in Denver that we are looking to be a part of as well, have our booth at and things of that nature. So we are willing to, if we feel like there's enough of a veteran community that's willing to partake in such, if we had an event or meetup up there, we'd most certainly be willing to do something up in the Denver area. And I'd actually like to share briefly, my counterpart who helps me, she's a former E7, she's actually since about in August moved to Florida. So we are currently trying to establish a Vigilant Valkyrie community in Florida as well. But yes, we are more than willing to do events up in Denver.
Right, because I think everybody in Colorado understands that when it comes to military, Colorado Springs has a huge military community. But you've got Buckley, you've got you do have military in Denver as well.
Yes, we do, and like I said, that's something that it's going to take some planning and ensuring that people are going to want to come out. If we put it out there and it doesn't seem that too many people are interested, then we just want to ensure that there are those that are going to be interested in coming out. And I think from previous events that other organizations that we're connected with have done, that wouldn't be an issue. Because as you said, there are many veterans up in Denver and many people that aren't veterans that are supportive of veteran organizations that enjoy coming out as well.
And real quick, what are some of the organizations that you guys work with?
So we work, Disgruntled Veterans is a business, and they helped us kick off. I'm good friends with Chappie and Al. The other ones we have the Enlisted Association, which is located here in Springs. They're a fantastic nonprofit, specifically for enlisted. We work with 22 Until None, who does fantastic work all across the nation, combating veteran suicide and providing financial help and assistance. We work with the Fountain VFW. We've got the Cockpit Distillery, which is a business here in Colorado Springs, but they open up their distillery for us for meetings and events and things, and it's just absolutely fantastic. We work with Disgruntled Motorsports, which is like a motorsports aspect of the veteran community, and a few others. Sorry, Irreverent Warriors is another one. There's just so many. Like I said, there's about 12 of us, and just do some absolutely fantastic things in the veteran community here in Colorado and across the nation.
No, I think it's fantastic. What is your website?
So currently we are building our website, and I apologize, we don't have a website launched as of yet. We are in the process.
But you're working on it.
Yes. So I literally got back to Colorado from deployment about 6 weeks ago, and I have been running full speed ahead. So I am finishing our business plan, and then we will have our website launched and be applying for a nonprofit status. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully within the next 2 to 3 months, we will have that website launched. In the meantime, like I said, it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Right, and it's easy to find on Facebook, and you've got all kinds of good posts, and it's really cool to see this kind of support for women. Really, it is.
Yes.
And anything you'd like to add?
I'd like to just really challenge all the female veterans and service members out there to come out and get involved. I understand that when we did kind of like a poll on our page, that the two challenges are, our brothers want to try and flirt with us, which we're not interested in, or childcare. But we do, Vigilant Valkyrie does family-friendly events, does children-friendly events. Come out, get involved. You are just as equal as our brothers, and you are just as much a part of the veteran community, and don't let anybody else tell you otherwise.
No, I think it's great. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Of course, I'm going to touch base with you in the future. I've been speaking with Danae Sim. She is the founder of Vigilant Valkyrie. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you. It's been fantastic.
You've been listening to Colorado Today, a product of Intercom Communications. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter. If you know of an organization that may benefit from being on the show, contact us at coloradotoday@entercom.com.